What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So today we're going to take a look at the +1 model. This is an AI model that I trained to give us a probability when it comes to who's going to control the House and the Senate. And so that's what we're going to focus on in this video. Today we're focusing on the House, but we will take a look at the Senate map as well. Now, before we get started, I want to show you the House map so you guys can understand where we are and what Democrats would need to do in order to take back control of the House. And so right now, if we factor in the special elections that will happen in the future, we're anticipating that Republicans will have 220 seats. Democrats would have 215. Okay, now right now the numbers look a little bit different because we have some open seats and they need to fill those seats. So once they fill those seats, this is where we think it's going to go. Now, for Democrats to take control of the House, they need to net 3 seats. They need to be at 218 or more in order to take control of the House. And so realistically, we're only talking about 3 seats here that Democrats need to gain. That is why you hear a lot of experts out there saying that Democrats will probably take back control of the House because they only need to net those 3 seats. And historically speaking, the party that's out of power, so if you have the president or Republican, that the Democratic Party will have an advantage. And this is the same if the Democrat was the president, then Republicans would have an advantage. So we're already anticipating that Democrats will be able to take back the House. But how many seats do we think Democrats are going to be able to take back? And that's what we're going to focus on in this video. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please like the video. And if you're watching this video and you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. Okay, so let's go ahead. We'll take a look at the AI model, and then we're going to come back. I do want to look at the Senate as well, because when it comes to the Senate, I want you guys to understand what Democrats need to do to take back control of the Senate, because it's not going to be as easy as the House. But let's take a look at the AI model. Now, again, I created this. This is the +1 model. And what I did is I trained AI. So I went back and forth with AI to create a model to give us a probability that Democrats would take back control of the House or Republicans would maintain the House. And so that's what we did here. And so let's first talk about the generic ballot. So the generic ballot, and this is Real Clear Politics, that's what we're using. Generic ballot is at 4.4 points, okay, and that favors Democrats, okay? So Democrats, so you could say plus 4.4 for Democrats. And so Democrats have an advantage in the generic ballot. Okay, looking at presidential job approval. Presidential job approval right now is at 43%. That means 43% of the people polled, they think that the president's doing a good job, but that means 57% think the president is not doing a good job. Okay, so this 43%, this is actually up. It was down to 42% the last time that we looked at this a month ago. And so you see it has increased. So that means the president's job approval has gone up just a little bit. Okay, looking at the economy, GDP at 1.4%. CPI, so we're talking about inflation, at 2.4%. Unemployment ticked up a little bit, 4.4%. And so this is the calculation here. And we'll talk about the calculations at the very end. It'll all make sense. So we're talking about special elections. This has ticked up just a little bit. Now it's plus 3.5, and that favors Democrats. We've seen in special elections that Democrats are outperforming Republicans, and that's where we got that number. Okay, let's take a look at the seats at risk. This is the Cook Political Report, and it's showing us right now Republicans have 18 seats at risk. Democrats have about 9 seats at risk. And so that gives Democrats an advantage, +9, because if you think about it, if Republicans have more seats at risk than Democrats, that means there's a higher probability that they could lose more seats than Democrats. Okay, so let's get to the final calculations. So the final calculation we're looking at is 4.24. And what that means is for every 1 point, that equates to 10 seats. And so when we come down here, projected Democratic gain is 42 seats. Now, 42-seat gain, that's a wave. That's a blue wave. And so that's where we are right now. But what I want to do is I want to go back. I want to go back to when we first started doing this. So we started doing this October of 2025. So back in October of 2025, we saw Democrats looking at gaining 11 seats. And then October 23rd, we saw Democrats set to gain about 20 seats. November 1st, we saw Democrats set to gain 21 seats. November 7th, we saw Democrats set to gain 37 seats. November 13, 2025, we saw Democrats set to gain 40 seats. November 20th, 2025, we saw Democrats set to gain 45 seats. Then it went down to 43 seats, November 27th of 2025. And then 33 seats December 16th of 2025. And then in late December, I believe it was December like 28th or 29th, we saw Democrats set to gain 37 seats. January 22nd, 2026, we saw Democrats set to gain 41 seats. February 4th, 2026, we saw Democrats set to gain 44 seats. And now here we are, 42 seats, March 8th. And so that was yesterday when I calculated these numbers. So Democrats right now are doing pretty good. Okay, the only real shift that we saw is job approval. We saw job approval tick up for the president, which is good for the president, it's good for the Republicans, but we're still seeing similar numbers when it comes to the seat gain for Democrats. So right now, Democrats are in position to take back control of the House. Now, when it comes to the Senate, it's going to be much more difficult for Democrats to take back control of the Senate. Now, the main reason that Democrats would want to take back control of the Senate is they want to be able to control the appointments when it comes to judges. So that is very important because we could see a shift when it comes to the Supreme Court. And Democrats are going to want to be able to control that. Also, they're going to want to be able to open up their own investigations in the Senate. And so that is the reason why it's important that Democrats do take back control of the Senate, not just the House, but the Senate as well. And then if you want to talk about impeachment and things like that, impeachment would happen in the House, but they would be tried in the Senate. And so if you have both chambers, then at least you can control that. Now, you can't guarantee what's going to happen in the Senate because you're going to need more than a simple majority in the Senate in order to remove the president. And so you're still going to need Republicans to actually come on board and vote to remove the president. But nonetheless, I want to take a look. Let's take a look at the map here because I just want to show you the reason why it's going to be very difficult for Democrats to take back control of the Senate, but not impossible. They do have a pathway. I've talked about these pathways in the past. And so let's just take a quick look. So when we're looking at our current situation, Democrats and independents are at 47, Republicans are at 53. So what this means is Democrats need to net 4 seats in order to take back control because remember, they need 51. We can't just have a 50-50 Senate because the vice president comes in and breaks the tie. So Democrats need to net 4 seats. So not only do they need to net 4 seats, they need to maintain the seats that they have. And we do have some races that they're pretty close. Okay, so we're in Georgia. We know that's going to be a close race. We'll see if Ossoff can pull it off. If he can, then Democrats would maintain control of Georgia. When we're talking about Michigan, this is going to be an open seat, and so this is going to be close. And so we'll have to see how that plays out. But Democrats need to maintain Michigan as well as they need to maintain New Hampshire. Now, if they can maintain those 3 states, okay, and I'm looking at all the other states, and right now we have most of these states are Democrats likely going to win those, the ones that are in blue. And so now let's look at some of the states that Democrats have to win. They need to net those 4. And the pathway that we're looking at right now, I think the easiest pathway for Democrats is to win in North Carolina. So Roy Cooper, win in North Carolina, win in Maine, win in Alaska, and then win in Ohio. I think that's the easiest pathway that Democrats have moving forward. Now that we looked at this pathway, there are some other ways that Democrats can win. And let's say Ohio doesn't go to a Democrat. Well, now you have Texas. That's a possibility. You have Tallarico running against Paxton or Cornyn. That is going to be a very close race, and everyone's going to be watching that. And there's going to be a lot of money going into Texas, a lot of money going into that race because both Democrats and Republicans understand how crucial it is to win in Texas. And so if Texas goes, that would give Democrats 51, and that would give them the majority. We can also look at other situations where, let's say, Iowa goes. That's an open seat. Okay, so that a lot of things can happen when there's an open seat. Let's say Democrats take back Iowa. That gives them 51. Another option would be Nebraska. Let's say Osborne wins in Nebraska. Osborne says, you know what, I'm going to caucus with the Democrats. That would give the Democrats the majority. Or Osborne could say, I'm not caucusing with either side, and that can also disrupt things. And so although Republicans still have an advantage when it comes to the Senate map, Democrats have a pathway, and they have actually several different pathways that they can go down. And just 3 months ago, we weren't talking about Democrats taking back control of the Senate, but now we are because of Tallarico, because of Peltola, because of what we could see in Maine, because what we could see in North Carolina. Now we have some real possibilities, and even Ohio, you have Sherrod Brown running. There's some real possibilities for Democrats to take back control of the Senate, and this has Republicans taking notice, and that is why they're really focused on spending money and trying to get Cornyn in Texas spent, $71 million just in the primary trying to beat Paxton, because Republicans know that a Cornyn would probably be a better choice than a Paxton running against Tallarico. And so now we have Cornyn and Paxton in this runoff. They're going to spend millions and millions of dollars more because Republicans know they have a better chance with a Cornyn than a Paxton. So I want to know what you guys think about all this. What do you think about the +1 model? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more. Remember, stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.